damn, this is the moment everyone was waiting for. We're live, and we have a very special guest here, Stanley Lau,
Hey,
known basically as a art germ. Dude, how's it going, man?
it's been fine. I mean, it's early. It's 12 p.m. So my day just started. Mm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're currently in Singapore, right? That's where you live.
Yes, I've been living in Singapore for the past 20 years.
Damn. Did you were you born there, or this is just
I
what
was
you
born in
decided to
Hong
be?
Kong.
Okay,
Mm. Mm. And I
cool.
moved to Singapore when I was 17.
Wow. So you're already a teenager, or a little more than that. So cool. I got your screen up. We got Andrew over here. We got some webcams as well. So we're all set. We're all set to go. Some big changes coming up to Art Cafe this year. I originally planned to have Kang Lee, but then we had a conversation and like you had time and it's perfect. Let's do this.
Okay.
Let's have it happen. Maybe for those, I mean, everyone who's joining, or most of us, most of the people who are joining this conversation here, this live stream, already know who you are. But whoever's going to be watched later, and whoever's maybe stumbling upon this, like, ooh, what's going on here? Might be interested who you are. So maybe let's start with
Mm.
that. Let's start with introducing yourself to our audience and figure out what is Artgerm all about.
Okay. All right. So, well, I'm Stanley Lau, and most people know me as Artgerm, which is my now has become my official name. All my students call me Artgerm. Yep. So, I'm generally, how should I describe myself? A digital artist. I draw for a living. I draw for many people and mainly the entertainment company, from comic to games to sometimes animations, sometimes some of the movie production as well. So I'm based in Singapore. I've been running this studio called Imagine Friends Studio for the past 10 years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So hmm, I'm officially trained in graphic design, so I don't have any formal training in art. Art is something that I picked up myself, self-taught artist, so to speak. Mm.
Right. And you have
Yep.
your own school, right? Is that correct?
I'm also running a school program, a diploma program in digital art with my partners and with a local school that we work together.
Mm-hmm.
And we create a curriculum to teach people how to draw digitally. So we talk about character illustrations, creature designs, mechanical designs, and ZBrush.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I wanted to talk with you. I mean, when I started a conversation with you offline, we've been talking on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to discuss what kind of topic we could discuss, and I think education is an interesting one to talk about.
Sure.
But before we go there, um, one question I have to you, or it's like, I'm always curious because I've seen your art. I think I've stumbled upon your art on DeviantArt for the first time, and it was a
Mm-hmm.
while
That's right.
back. And I remember seeing it here and there, but more recently, I started really follow what you do and what you paint, and it's you have very distinctive style of work,
Mm-hmm.
which is something I really like, and also, I can see how much attention you put into like really clean lines and details and all that,
Mm.
and it's really something that really interests me. And one of the aspects of it I wanted to ask you about, like what actually got you into this. Have you had like parents that were artists before you,
Okay.
or was there any like a moment in your life where you actually decided, okay, this is something I really want to do?
Well, I guess most of the reason came from my parents. I mean, they are not artists, but they love to doodle. So since young, they brought me like tons of coloring books for me to just play with, and I fell in love with that. And as soon as I have my own mind, like in my 15, I decided to be a professional artist. and that has always been that case. So I'm not very good with my study, or I choose not to be good with my study. I spend most of my time just doodling on my textbooks and just making sketches stuff for
Mm-hmm.
my friends. Yeah. So when my textbooks are filled, I'll borrow my friend's sketchbook. I mean textbook and just like draw on them, and people start to like it, and I really enjoy that kind of the experience or achievement. So eventually, I decided to pursue art as a career.
Right. That's awesome.
Mm.
And how long you've been doing this already?
I think I started drawing more seriously when I was 15, and now I'm 42, I believe. So it's like 22 years. Yeah. Oh no, more than that, 20. I don't know, like 27 years. Yeah.
So wait, you were 42. That's 22
Mm.
years.
20, 27 years. Yeah, I believe.
27 years. All right.
Mm.
So
Mm.
I was holy shit. I was like a little bit later than shitting my diapers, basically. Yeah, I think I was 8 at the time you actually started your career. So that's kind of interesting. Cool. And you have like graphics designer education, right? Is that what you wanted to do in the first place, or
Not
it just
really. I
happened
mean,
so?
um, after graduate from high school, I need to make a decision which path should I take. So I had a conversation with my parents that I would like to pursue art as a career,
Mm-hmm.
and my mom was quite supportive, but my dad was a little bit skeptical, and he asked me these simple questions like, what if people don't like about what you do? They don't like your art, and you're
Right.
screwed. Why don't you try something more safe? Asian parents. So I said,
I
well,
hear that a lot.
yeah, I mean, like that, just give me a chance to prove to you that I can do it. Just give me a chance to make a decision for myself. So
Mm-hmm.
he said, okay. So I decided to join some kind of creative program. And back then, there wasn't any kind of like digital art. Digital didn't exist back then. So
Yeah.
the closest thing I can get is either fine art or graphic design. So I decided to choose graphic design as a
Mm-hmm.
way for me to get into this creative industry.
Right. And did you go to like a former school, or that was
Yes,
something
I,
you? Okay.
I went for 3 years of a diploma in a local college for graphic design.
Mm-hmm.
Not exactly graphic, not just graphic design. It's called visual communication. So basically, we talk about like advertisements, web designs. We talk about like something interactive. Back then, the Flash was really in. So we also learned how to do Flash and stuff. Mm.
Yeah, I remember when Flash first popped on the internet. You could see like all of those small animations and little games popping up. That was kind of interesting time.
Yeah.
Um, so what actually got you to because that's I mean graphic design is a little different
Mm-hmm.
than painting, right? I mean it's quite a lot
Well,
different
it
actually.
is. I mean, I'll say graphic design is a broader subject, but
Mm-hmm.
I find that having a background in graphic design does help me a lot in my art. And the sense of aesthetic, the understanding of space, playing with typography to enhance my artwork to make it more graphically appealing. I think
Right.
I think to me art is like the content, and graphic design is how to package the content. So to me that become really useful and somehow set my art apart, I mean, from the rest of the people.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
That's cool.
Mm.
Do you have any cool stuff you can show, by the way?
Like
I
cool
was
graphic design.
no, just in general. I'm
Mm.
pretty sure our audience is starving to see some of
Um,
the goodies.
Honestly, whatever I can show, have already shown it online. I mean, I'm pretty connected to social media, so I show
Right.
every small thing that I can do
Yeah, you have
online. Those,
pretty large following, aren't you?
um, I think it's pretty cool. I started early during the peak of deviant art. So the many
Mm-hmm.
back then there wasn't many other art forums. So many people went to deviant art, and I grew my fan base there. And then slowly social media opened up. I started to hop into Facebook and Instagram. So that's what I have. So now I have about 500,000 followers. Yeah, yeah.
Well, there we go.
Mm,
You're definitely very popular. I'm actually curious. The reason I'm asking is because like We all have busy lives, and I could only imagine you're being busy with your school, your
Mm,
company, all the projects that basically you
that's right.
work on, and
Mm-hmm.
then the social media aspect pops into it as well. And there's a family and leisure, and all the stuff you kind of want to do for fun. I wonder
Yeah.
how what are you like, what exactly you do, or maybe not exactly, but what do you found the most useful to sort of handle the social media? Because like, if you
Mm.
want to do it properly, it's a lot of work, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Actually, I always surprise myself, like how could I manage all these things at the same time? And I can tell you, it's a constant struggle. I mean, between family, work, make commercial work, personal stuff, social media, connect with friends, education. It's just, it's really, it takes up a lot of my time and a lot of my concentration. But I realized that one thing that really keep me going, and s- is to just to have fun with everything that I do. I
Mm-hmm.
really enjoy art. I mean, there's something that many of my friends or even my family may not understand. Sometimes they will think that, oh, Stanley, you're a workaholic, so you work too much. But I say, but I'm not, you see, I only work on weekends when I manage my kids, so I manage my family. That's my work. My weekdays are my like weekends, So I
It's all
play.
the other
I
way
just
around, isn't it?
yeah, and some people got really interested and a little bit jealous. Like, oh man, you can really work and play at the same time. Yes, I do, I do. Um, but that's not always a rosy path. I mean, that
Yeah.
I did work really hard to get to where I am, and I sacrificed a lot of my youth. Instead of going for clubbing, having fun with my friends, I stay at home or stay in the library. I spend time to learn and grow as an artist, and that somehow pay off in the later part of
Right.
my life. Yeah.
I mean, clubbing. What is that? What is club?
It was like,
I want to
oh,
know.
go to disco, go for a
No, I
drink,
know.
go hang out, yeah.
We're just like the most prolific people I know. All the friends that I have that are like really prolific artists, and people I invite on Art Cafe and have a discussion with. There's one thing in common basically. Like we all basically, if you call it work, yeah, we are workaholics. If you would just call it work, but there's
Yeah.
this thing. This is that we're, because of the amount of effort that is being put into this, you can basically work your way up to a level where it you don't have to worry about it as being work. It's more of like, well, now I enjoy what I do, but it also pays the bills. And
Definitely.
at this point, I can start enjoying it even more, because the worry of keeping the lights up is sort of like slowly going away, basically, right?
That's true. Yes. I always consider myself a slightly different kind of artist compared to many of the artists that you invited onto your art cafe. I mean, I'm not exactly a concept designer kind of guy. I
Right.
basically draw things. So so always
Doesn't
a
matter.
bit always
Art.
fearful when people like you guys invited me over. I said, okay, so who am I? That kind of thing. So
No,
yeah.
look, I'm trying to invite people that I like, and people that my community, the community
Mm,
that follows this channel, likes to see also. Uh,
mhm,
but it's never just concept art or concept design or entertainment
mm,
industry. I'm
mm,
that's the most of the people that I know of
yeah,
are from the entertainment industry, obviously. But
sure.
I try to open it up, have more interesting conversation going on, because one thing that I find interesting is that picking up brains and understanding like how it is in actually in different industries. Not
Mm,
just concept art, because it's almost like patting each other's at each other's back when you talk with
yes.
concept art, because everything
Yeah.
we talk about we already know.
Exactly.
um,
Yeah. Mm,
so, but you're from a different field, and you work primarily as an illustrator. I mean, apart from teaching and running your company, which I
mm,
believe is like, how would you define your company? It's like an outsourcing studio, right? You basically work
yeah.
with clients, right?
Mm.
Is it mostly
So
illustration?
I would say we did a lot of stuff. many mechanical design as well. I mean, if you know, one of my founder is called Kai Lim. It's like
Mm-hmm.
Kitaku. You may have seen his stuff before. That we founded the studio together. So for him, he did a lot more of a mechanical design stuff. Warhammers 40K. You see on the screen. You can see the screen, right?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah. So we did a lot of stuff. We did stuff with Sony for this game called Planet Side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he did stuff like that. So when we opened up a school, he's the one who handled the mechanical design module. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, I've seen this before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I've
think
seen that stuff before,
yeah,
especially
all
this.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I remember when. So here's a funny story for you. I don't know if you had an experience working with film directors or production designers, but usually what happens is that they send you references like quite a lot. And I think one of those ships that I saw those references when I was working on Jupiter Ascending, like very early on. I remember that popping up over there. That was kind of interesting to see because I definitely, it's stuck in my memory.
Yes, I think that's pretty cool.
It's kind of cool. I could probably have like a long, separate, full term conversation with Dan. I don't know if you know Danny Levisi, but
of course I know
he
him.
could tell some stories about that
Yes,
specific
exactly.
subject.
So can be quite difficult to talk about sometimes.
Difficult is mildly put,
Yeah.
Well, for one, I can understand, when you start a project and you kind of want to get sort of like a mood board and get a feel of what the project is like, and then you just gather references. But I've seen situations where it goes a step further, where where it becomes part of a concept art, which it shouldn't. But
Well, I guess if it's internal, just for development purpose, I guess it's kind of okay.
right,
You don't show, as long as you don't show people and use it like
a
as
promotional
it is.
material. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sleazy. That's sleazy. I mean, I think studios are more careful about that these days. Quite often, when film is about to get released, and let's say you work on a film, you will have a legal department, contacting you when they see a concept art piece that you did for the film, and they have like questions like, did you use any references? Like, where did you get your references from? So they want to get a clearance. If you specifically like photo bashed something, they will ask for that. That's the best idea is obviously use your own references. Here's a dirty truth. Everyone is using Google.
Whatever works, man.
Everyone is using Google. That's just true.
That's a very convenient.
Yeah, but it is what it is.
So what exactly do you do? Do you work on films a lot?
Well, these days, yeah. I mean, mostly films. I mean, right now I'm doing some cool stuff with ILM, and it's not really a film. I cannot obviously talk about what I'm doing.
Of course, sure.
But it's pretty cool. I'm working with a production designer that I worked before, and he's not a production designer on that project. I really like him. So ILM is pretty cool. I used to do some Riot Games work for the last couple of months, and we're gonna have Kang Lee tomorrow. He worked with me on the projects, a couple of projects over there. I'm probably gonna be working with them soon again. Those guys are awesome. Yeah, Riot Games is amazing. They treat their employees and the way you like, even if you're a contractor and you work with them, it's pretty awesome. It's very mellow and straightforward.
They are so passionate. I mean, like, whenever they talk about League of Legends, they can talk hours.
And have you seen their campus, dude? It's just like, it's when you see those documentaries about Pixar, it's basically what it is, but just for video games. It's like, what? Hidden rooms? No way. It's pretty amazing. And some film. I just finished last year Ghost in the Shell. So that was the last film I worked on.
Okay.
And I did some work for New Adventures too, but that was like just a little bit of work. and very, very tiny, almost like just a week, a couple of sketches for Ready Player One, but that's
Mm.
about it. Maybe a day or 2 days of work, if
Yeah, I think
anything.
Ghost in the Shell is awesome. So far, I see the trailer. I mean, I was honestly pretty skeptical about that. Whenever a Western company want to make an Asian anime,
Mm-hmm.
I always find it hard to accept at the first time. So, but I look at the trailer, it looks really pretty cool. Yes, I must say that. So good job for that.
Yeah, we'll see how it's gonna turn out. The only thing I can
Hopefully,
tell, I don't have a control over the script, and I
of
cannot
course.
I cannot control the production. I've been on a set, and I've seen how it. When you actually get to experience being on a set, you get a little different appreciation to how much effort comes into actually making a film. So when you start,
Yes.
like I see a lot of it's easy to complain about something, but it's much harder to do something. It's fair to
Yes.
complain too. I'm not saying it's not. But
Yeah.
one thing I can tell, one thing I can say about Ghost is I really liked working with Rupert, who's
Mm,
the director. I worked with
yeah.
him directly for almost a year and a half. He's a really
Nice.
cool dude to work with, like really cool. So that's the only thing I can really say. So I enjoyed my time on that project. Was fun. It was definitely fun. I
Nice. I
try
look
to do
forward
my
to it.
best to get as much of a homage to the anime.
Mm.
We'll see how it turns out. By the way, so we'll see. um, Dude, we
Okay.
talk too much about me, man. It
No, it's
turns out
fine.
it turns into an interview about me now. um,
Yeah.
Dude, so you run Imaginary Friends. You start that company. You started with your friends, right? That's I guess that's
Yes.
the word. The name is.
You see, Singapore is a very small country.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't any of such kind of studio around back then before us. So we also took lots of inspiration from studio around the world. Like for
Mm-hmm.
example, back then, like Massive Black. So we wanted to create a studio that artists or local artists or artists around the region can work together to create something cool to so-called make us known to the
Right.
international platform. So that's how it first started. It started with just the mind of getting together to do something cool, as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
And little did we know that once we went into that, things get really complicated and it's really challenging. No, I mean honestly, I'm not even. I don't consider myself an entrepreneur. I'm not a businessman. I just draw, and having to run the studio, managing people, managing the overhead and all the cost and expenses, everything together, it become a really tiring process, and it take away the joy of me creating art. Yeah.
Right. It makes me smile, man, because I'm pretty sure Andrew can chip in about that too.
Definitely, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you
Because
think that, oh, it's cool, right? So, like, we have everybody come in the studio, we bring all our toys, everything, play our games, and like just have chill and have fun. But at the end of the month, who's going to pay the bills? We do. So
yeah,
that become, yeah, that become the pressure. And for us as
yeah,
business
it's
owner,
it's not fun. It's
yeah,
just
it's not fun.
like every day you wake up and you realize that there's some fires to be put out, basically, and like, damn, like I have to deal with this now. Damn, the taxes and
Yeah,
some issues with workers and some issues with clients, and the website is not working and the systems are down. Like, come on, man, give me a
yeah.
break.
I
And
mean, nowadays,
then
I always ask my students, like, what do you like to do after you graduate? I mean, what's your ultimate goal? Many of them will say that, oh, I would like to run my own studio. And I always advise them against that. So I say, don't do it because it's cool. Do it because you have to. I mean, one thing that we did not do too well as a studio is that we allow diversity. So diversity means that some people are good with mechanical design, some people
mhm,
with concepts, some people good with comics, and it sounds cool as a one-stop shop. But as a business owner, when we run this, we realize that it's not all the time. Every month, we're able to get relevant job for people with such a diverse skill sets. So
right.
so maybe half of the studio is working their ass off, the other half is doing nothing but playing games. So it become a very tiring process. So I always advise my students that if next or the audience here, if you really want to open a studio, make sure the studio has one unique and unified visions, and everybody can contribute constantly to this vision. For example, game
Right.
production. There's some programmer, there's some marketing people, there's some script writer, there's some modelers. All these people work constantly together for one single vision. To me, that will work much better. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, it becomes this behemoth, right? Where you have just like such a big overhead because
Yeah.
you have to pay those guys, right? You have those guys as a full time workers, right?
Yes, that's
Or
right.
contract. Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, it's just like, well, clients coming in, or there might be there, they may not. The
Exactly.
expense is gonna be there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's like you quickly realize how much overhead is there. Like when you start the company and you start to build the business, like even something as simple like, let's say, a payment system where we allow people to pay for the
Mm.
goods you sell, right? You
That's right.
quickly realize that, wait, there's like 4 or 5% cut that the Visa or the system that actually operates it gonna take from your account
Mm. That's
that you
right.
have to
Mm.
account for. Like what?
Yeah.
What? They can block your money just to check if you're legit? What? I have to pay my bills, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Some country has really nasty system. Yeah.
it's not that hard in America. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there are things here that I wish we're working really really differently, but I have experience running a business, say, in Poland. It was years ago, but just just uh just the taxes, man. It was just like so tiring. Like one
Mm.
mistake you make and you're basically fucked.
Mm.
um, but yeah, it's just a lot of like, it's thousands of small things that
Mm.
happen along the way that you just cannot miss. And they're small things, but they quickly add up. They quickly add
Mm.
up to this one big headache, basically.
That's right.
Um,
Mm. Okay. Well, why don't we just take some questions from the audience in case they have something to ask? So.
yeah, we actually, Andrew is
Mm.
gathering them, and what we usually do is we wait
Mm.
till the very end of the
Okay.
stream. We still have some time, and
No
we
problem.
just go through the questions. Because what I like to do is
Mm.
I rather have a conversation that is
Mm.
not interrupted, especially on the format like this. It's just
Okay.
so much easier to to
Mm.
control. Andrew's on top of it, so don't worry.
Yeah, got it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Andrew's
Yeah.
got it.
Just lurking in the shadows. Questions
Mm.
ready.
I have a
Well,
question to you though.
okay. Sure. Yeah.
Do you want to paint something for our peeps that are working they're looking at this,
Sure.
or yeah,
Yeah.
that would be
I'm going to for sure. I'm going to paint something. I'm going to paint your chick. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, go for it, man. Go for
Mm.
it.
Um. But So do I paint and talk at the same time? I do, right?
You don't have to like really focus on the painting. It's just like I'd like to see some good art, man. If
Okay.
you can, you can paint.
That's
Like if you
right.
don't want to paint, you don't need to. Like that's something that is up to you. I want to keep it as mellow as possible.
No
That's
problem.
obviously a perk. What are you using there? What is that software?
I'd love to
A
do.
Corel.
This is Corel Painter.
Oh, cool.
I've been using Corel Painter for the past 20 years. Yeah.
Wow,
Since version one.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So now
remember
it's like,
using it at the very beginning, but I
mhm.
dropped it for Photoshop. Now I switched to Clip Paint. Did you use that one, like a manga studio?
I did the box art for them. That's all.
Oh, all
Yeah.
right. Well, stupid me.
Yeah.
Awesome, sick.
But I guess I'm just an old school guy. I still stick with the tools that I'm more comfortable with. I mean,
Right,
manga studio,
of
honestly,
course.
based on the price point, is awesome. In the past, not so awesome because it only do black and white, but now it does color as well. So I think it's a very good.
Right.
Yeah, very good software.
It's just the.
And there's
I
some.
mean, yeah. At the end of the day, it's just a tool. It's just what matters is your skill set and your your expertise and experience that you've gathered over years working, just being an artist basically and learning everything along the way. So that's really what matters. Yeah, maybe in the meantime, we could talk about your school and education, because that was the main the main subject I wanted to bring up
Okay.
here.
Right.
Um,
Before we talk about that, let me do a quick explanation of what I do here. So basically,
cool.
I'm not a layer freak, so I work with only as few layers as possible. Usually, it's about 4 or 5 layers. That's, to me, is good enough to go. And for Corel Painter, what I really like about that is the the blending, the natural looking of the stroke, that it looks more organic. It doesn't have to be look like exactly like traditional medium, but it looks more organic, and I feel that the layer blending is much more effective or visually more appealing than Photoshop. But at the same time, I work with Photoshop
Mm-hmm.
alongside with Corel Painter. So I'll paint something in Corel Painter, and I'll just move to Photoshop to do some tweaking of values and colors, and then bring back to Corel Painter and do. So I do both at the same time. Mm, yeah,
That's cool. Yeah, it's
yeah,
like cross intersecting tools
yeah.
basically. Yeah,
Because
very
Corel
cool.
Painter support PSD file, so it's easy for me. Yeah.
Awesome.
And for today, I'm going to paint with one brush. Usually I paint with just a few brush. One brush is called the loader palette knife brush, which I did many of my artwork with this brush. Yeah, so this is a very nasty looking brush. And it
Cool.
lags a little bit with the live stream. So I may want to just focus on this particular document screen, so you may not see the rest of the interface, just to cut down the bandwidth. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So let me unshare my screen and then reshare it. Mm-hmm. Can you
There
see
we
the
go.
gray?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Let's see how it works.
Okay.
We're discovering this together, man.
Okay. Educations. Yeah, I've been teaching for the past 3 years. It has always been my dream to be able to share my knowledge with people.
Mm-hmm.
Through the years renting the studio, many people ask me about educations and should I run a school or some kind of workshop. I think I spent most of my 10 years in the studio learning the craft, learning the industry, so that I'll be more prepared when I start teaching.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I realized about teaching is that many people follow the traditional art school method, that most of the professors, I'm sorry if I offend anybody here, with most of the
Go
professors
ahead.
that,
You can
yeah,
offend anyone you want. I offend people a lot too.
sure, who run an art college, once they start become a professor, they stop drawing or stop being in touch with in the industry.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree
so that
100%.
becomes really hard for them to provide relevant information to the student, especially when the world is moving so fast, especially coming into productions or creative design yeah. So I always want to make sure that while I'm teaching in school, I'm also working full time in the industry, so that whatever I teach will be extremely relevant. Yeah. I guess being an educator is a important role. I'm not going in for the money, because I just want to impart my knowledge and to be really honestly help people grow. To me, that's my main reason. And so seeing people grow is extremely rewarding and give me a very strong sense of purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about when you work with the students and they do the homework and you give them feedback and you go through the usual process of teaching, and then whether it's weeks or maybe months later, you see that same guy who was just like maybe struggling with, say, perspective or with a form or maybe with lighting, you know,
Yeah.
being on a completely different level, and it's just like, wow, that's something that makes you happy. It makes me specifically happy as well, because
Mm.
it's just like you realize quickly and you almost like you feel I was a part of it. I was, even if just like a little nudge of what I've said throughout my whole teaching part with that person, even if whatever one word or the whole experience just nudged him in the right direction, that's usually good enough to have a
Yes.
profound result for that person.
Yeah.
um,
And I think that's extremely important, because I always feel that as an educator, we are really responsible for the growth of
mhm.
people who spend so much money and time with us. I think I want them to feel that they have make a right choice. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why. Yeah.
exactly. And the best moments is when we had that recently. I mean, we had that. I'm not gonna brag, but Some of the students we have learn Squirt. Like a month later, we hear, or 2 months later, like, oh, he got a job at ILM, or now he's working for Blur, or she's working with Magic the Gathering guy. So whatever that is, it's just like, you it's not like you are the person that made it happen, but you definitely help that person in a way. Even if it's just a 0.5%, that's awesome. It's one of the most rewarding parts, where you're putting all the effort in teaching, because teaching can be exhausting, right? I mean, you could definitely tell. You've been teaching for longer than I did, so.
And because we don't really follow the curriculum so strict, like we don't have a textbook of everything, so the whole class is really organic. So at one point, people asked me about the lighting theory. On the other side, the people talk about how to prepare the portfolio, and then the next question will be how to get a girlfriend when you're still an artist. Stuff like that. So it's like really diverse questions that
impossible
I need to answer at the same time, and that means that that really exhausts my brain a lot.
Just invite her for a live drawing session.
Understand.
Hey, I'm gonna paint you for free. I work for free. It's it can be a struggle for sure. But hey, like when you're a good painter, it's can turn the other way. So it's all good. It's all good. One thing I want to ask you about is, you said you enjoy teaching, and there's a reason. Obviously, you already said the reason why, and it's, I think, the most educators that I talk with, people that do enjoy teaching, have the same sort of. They say the same thing. Like, it's rewarding to see the result of your work and how it affects other people. One of the reasons why we have this conversation right now and this channel is to inspire people and get them closer to art, basically. Because I neither me or you, when we were starting, there was nothing like that out there. There wasn't even YouTube.
No, nothing.
When we
no
started,
Facebook, nothing.
it was like, let me send the pigeon with the letter to a friend.
Back then, animated GIF was cool.
Yeah. Dude, HD video, what sorcery is this? But what I was saying is, the question I have is, when you start teaching, and that appears in, some people have that worry before they start teaching, is that, oh, like when I start teaching now, I will expose all of my secrets, and people will know how I do stuff, and they'll copy me and do the same thing. Did you ever had that in your head? Because I had. Like, I gonna be honest. Like, before I started teaching, and the reason I was so reluctant to teach was I had that worry. I was just like, my ego was so big. I just like, I'm never gonna show how I do my shit. You know what I mean?
Well, I know. But the truth is that for us as human beings, we learn everything from someone else. Since the first day we start walking, we learn from looking at people how to walk. Then we walk. We learn the alphabet from people so that we can make sentence out of it. So it's always by someone who already knows something that we learn from them. And to me, that is important. And that's how I always see myself, because I never see art as a competition. I always see art as a community. So I believe in imparting the knowledge as much as I can based on my capacity to those people who would like to learn, because that's how I learned in the first place. So that's, to me, my thinking is more like, back then I wasn't be able to get into a school that teach me digital art. So now I have an ability to do something. I would like to be the person who offer that opportunity. So it's sort of like paying it forward kind of mindset. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I mean, like, teaching students allow me to grow as well. So by knowing how they grow, it somehow fine-tune my process of personal growth, and I also grow alongside with them. To me, that is important. Yeah.
Yeah, you quickly find out, you learn from them too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just like I've especially when with technical stuff, a lot of no, like you have your workflow and you're working with it, like, and someone asks you like, "Hey, isn't it easier to do it this way?" And you're like,
Yeah, it can
"Huh,
be. Yeah.
all right, you got this. Why am I teaching?" But yeah, you definitely learn from students. And one thing I've noticed that you learn the most is sometimes your assumptions on how things work might be overrated, or in a way, you're assuming, all right, this is how they're going to do it. I'm going to do this, and that's the homework, blah, blah, blah. And then it turns out it's not that way. Like you've missed out on quite a lot of subjects that, students going to have questions about, or, you assume that this is easy to do. It's easy for you, but not for them. And you've quickly
Yes.
learned that, well, for first of all, I guess my communication skills are lacking, and second of
Mm-hmm.
all, especially when you want to prepare to have like a really good quality of teaching, where you the knowledge that you push on your students, and the things that you want to convey are not just some brain farts like, just gonna do, like, you just do this and this is how it works and just put some shit together and boom, you're done, right? No, you
Yeah.
wanna teach them a process that makes sense.
Mm.
Oftentimes you have to sort of like go back to um to the basics, and sort of like, oh shit, now I have to learn this again, because even though I know it, I use it every day. Let's say
Mm-hmm.
like a form, or a perspective. I know perspective, I use it every day, I paint with perspective, it's easy. How do I explain it? And then you have to go through the whole basic process from the start to finish, to understand it deeper, so that whatever you express and say about it makes sense, and make other people understand, all right, this is how it's done. The funniest part is that somewhere along the way you're gonna discover that, oh, I didn't know about that. I
Yeah,
didn't
it's
know about
true.
this very specific thing that now I know, and I can use in my work, which I wasn't aware of. So yeah, there's definitely that aspect. So you've been teaching
Uh,
3 years, right?
yes. Mm.
And
And I
sorry.
think as I want to resonate with what you just said. I think being a good artist is one thing. Being able to package your knowledge to be something that is digestible for beginners, I think that takes a lot of skills. Yeah.
It does. It does. I mean, it takes you. You have to go back to the basics, basically, inside yourself.
Yeah.
Like, all
Yes,
right, in
exactly.
order to explain it, I know it because I use it, but in order to explain it how it works, I have to almost like start from the ground,
Yes.
and go all the way up, and explain it to myself first, so that I know that whatever I'm saying is really something that everyone else can understand. So
Yes. Yes.
yeah, that's
Mm.
that's that's something that I've discovered really quickly, and I was like, shit. I wasn't paying attention to this, and it makes absolute sense. And I think your students are your best. Like, if you want to learn, you teach. Like, if you want to learn, teach. That's the best way to put it, I think, because even if you're not like, there's this one argument. I wanna hear your opinion about it.
Sure.
I've
Mm.
heard artists saying, I'm not gonna say which ones, but there are some artists saying like, "Oh, I'm pissed off that person X and person Y is teaching. Like, he has no experience. Why he's teaching? Blah 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 blah." You know that argument? Like, you're
Yeah.
not
Yeah. Of course.
worthy enough to teach. You know what I mean?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I wonder what is your opinion about it, because I feel like well, apart from like, it's free country, do whatever you want.
Mm,
uh,
sure.
I think the fact that you teach when you don't have all the knowledge actually forces you to understand, and really get deeper into that knowledge as well. That's something I've discovered doing jujitsu, where when you train and you do the drills, oftentimes, or like, let's say a new student is coming in and you've done the drills, specific drills of one or two moves for weeks, and that student haven't.
Yeah.
So now you have to, because the teacher is gonna tell what you have to do, but you're going to be like almost like a personal teacher for that person. where you have to kind of go through, even though you're like white belt, you don't know shit basically, but you're still a teacher. And by that fact, like, wait, you should do this, but I'm not sure. Let's, and then you go ask your instructor, and then he comes in and actually shows you exactly what has to be done. And then, from the process of teaching, you understand, oh, okay, this is how it's done. And then maybe that person might notice something like, hey, like the position here, or maybe this should be tighter or whatever. And that, that's another question that might be asked to, your instructor again. So I feel like when you teach, you learn. Like we've been talking about this. When you teach, you learn. I wanted to hear your opinion about it, because like I found it really interesting. Like some people are really like, those people should not teach, because they don't have enough experience in working and whatsoever. So
yeah. So the thing is there a guideline, global guideline, that up to what kind of achievement that you have that make you eligible to be a teacher? I think that there's no standard in that sense. I always believe that teaching or sharing in general is a matter of the heart. So basically, you have the heart to share. To me, that's enough. Yes, your technique, your knowledge may not be as refined, as up to date as some of as the others, but I'm sure that people will make some use of whatever you've shared, either as a positive or negative demonstration, whatever you call it, to actually continue to grow. I think that to me is important. I mean, that apply to all kind of teachers, all kind of instructors. I mean, look at this. You look at the coach for Michael Jordan. I mean, like, do you think that the coach play better basketball than Michael Jordan?
Nope.
No. But he's the coach, right?
He is the coach, though.
Yeah, but why he's a coach? Because he may be able to see something that be able to facilitate the growth of Michael Jordan, or to help to improve his performance. Maybe that is important. I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah, there's a book. I don't know if you read it. Crap, I think it's the one. It's called. It's either Essentialism or wait. I'll actually figure that out real quick. Let me grab my phone. I have it on my phone.
Sure.
I'll tell you what that book is in a second. But in this book, it's a trainer. It's a guy who works with professional athletes, basically. Sure. And it's called Relentless by Tim Grover. And it's a guy who works with professional athletes. He worked with Michael Jordan. He worked with Kobe Bryant. He worked with like LeBron James, like all the best basketball players you can imagine, like basically superstars,
Sure.
And he doesn't know like any of that. He's not a best at it. But there's it was kind of interesting what you mentioned, because that book, the things he say about players and teaching in general, and those aspects is actually really related to what you're saying. I wanted to just mention it because I think everyone should read it. It's really interesting in terms of like the title kind of says it. It applies to not only artists. I think it applies to people in general. Art, it can be a really useful book to know, because one lesson that I got out of it is just like, life is hard, man, and you're gonna run into situations where you're gonna be like, I want to quit, and you quickly learn that you shouldn't. And this book kind of like it doesn't tell you exactly why, but it tells you what successful people do, and why they don't quit. It's kind of interesting approach. It has a really interesting approach to it. But to a point, it's actually sort of looping back to what you said, that you don't like how academia has teachers, not everyone, but obviously quite a lot of, especially art teachers that decide to be in academia, they lose touch with what the industry is about. Like they stop working in films or games or whatever they've been working on, and they just have no idea what they're talking about.
Yes,
And it doesn't make them better than you at all. And in many cases, they are not. Some of them are going to be good. Some of them are going to be bad. I just wanted to know, like, what is your opinion about that? Because I found it really interesting. It's, you know, it's obviously personal opinion of other people. My opinion is just like, dude, like, if you want to teach, you should. Nothing is stopping you from doing this. One thing is, you know, teaching will be for sure is going to be a personal journey for you, because um, if you have the right mindset, let's put it this way: if you have the right mindset, it's going to be a personal journey for you, because you're going to learn what you don't know by teaching, right?
Yeah, that's true.
If if you have a shitty mindset where it's like, oh, I'm going to teach them make some Benjamin Franklins, then it's probably a bad approach, you know, because then you might be misleading people towards directions that they shouldn't go towards, you know. So, yeah.
I,
Um,
I strongly agree. I mean, like, you just need to be responsible of imparting knowledge. You know, in the past, I mean, how many of us have the story to tell about how some of the teacher in the past that hurt our feelings or tell us that we suck, we should not even consider drawing and stuff like that. I heard this kind of story from many of my students. And this teacher, not only they don't share or impart their good knowledge, also they kill the passion of some of these students. And to me, that's the saddest thing to say, because such impact lasts them for a lifetime. Yeah.
right, right. Unless you have, and not many people have that, you know, that character, that that part of a character which says like, I'm gonna go against the odds. Um, you know, I'm gonna do exactly to the contrary what everyone else is telling me. Not everyone has that traits. You know, a lot of
Yeah.
people get
No.
discouraged by the idea that someone says like, you shouldn't paint, fucking
Yeah.
go work in
Mm,
McDonald's, and people are like, yeah,
mm-hmm.
you're right. And that's sad, but I think I think it can be encouraging in a way where, you know, it sort of like bounces you towards, hey, I gonna show you wrong, man. Like I gonna do exactly what you said you shouldn't do. But yeah, it's the reality is not everyone has ability to sort of think that way, and yeah, I don't know what to say. I think it relates to, you know, your upbringing and the kind of people you hang out with. If you have like a lot of naysayers, people that have like really bad influence and say just like, oh, you suck, or oh, this like life is shit, and like my job sucks, I hate my boss, like I cannot wait for the weekend. And when the Sunday comes in, like, oh, fucking Monday's tomorrow. Like, oh, fucking hate my life. You know, when you hang out with people like that, it's just like you're
Yeah.
wasting so much energy towards
Yes.
negativity, and you
Mm.
don't have that energy anymore left for yourself to, you know, maybe do something that, you know, is really productive, and do something that can be good at the end of the day. It's really hard because like everyone is different, and I've the more I live on this little piece of land, the little patch flying through the cosmos, the more I understand how different people are, you know, and we run into assumptions saying, yeah, you should do this, you should do that. Maybe it sounds good for you, but you know, someone might think completely differently, and it might take a little more to convince that person. So, yeah, very cool.
Yeah. I think that as social media rise and such phenomenon is even more so because now many people are so concerned, or many young artists are so concerned about their rating on social media, how their achievement on the
How
social
many
media,
likes?
how many likes, man, how many share they
I
have,
didn't get my
and
1,000 likes. My artwork sucks.
yeah, and they start to feel discouraged just because one or two random dude that you don't even know drop by your page and say, "Oh, I hate it. It sucks. It looks like shit." And then you just kill your passion for the whole week, maybe for the whole month, maybe even longer.
Yeah.
And that can be very dangerous. I mean, I talk about this to my students all the time about being careful with the social media because it is a double-edged sword. That yes, sometimes you get good feedback, you get good support, but at the same time, you also get random people that you don't even know who they are, and their motive in life is to trash other people.
Yeah, there are
Yeah,
quite a lot of
yeah,
them toxic people
yeah.
that you kind of want to remove from your life.
Yeah,
Um,
because they just don't want to put in the effort. So those people who put in the effort, they don't like it, they trash them. So yeah, I think you need to be really careful and don't take everything that you receive on social media too seriously. Yeah.
Yeah, on the subject of books, I just finished reading. I've mentioned this already on Facebook. I've just finished reading a book called "Ego Is Your Enemy." I'm pretty sure
Mm-hmm.
Andrew is gonna be posting that on the chat.
Yep.
Ego is your enemy, and I'm reading another one from the same author. It's Ryan Holiday, and the book is called "Obstacle Is the Way," and that's actually the book he written before "Ego Is the Enemy." It's all produced by Tim Ferriss. A lot of people know who Tim Ferriss is. It's a pretty cool guy with a pretty cool podcast that I highly recommend.
Cool,
um,
awesome.
but to the book, it says exactly the same thing. Like, when you get caught up with someone else's opinions, you might be losing the point of why you're doing what you're doing, right? You should be the best way sort of to approach whatever kind of work you do is try to do something that satisfies yourself in the first place and not
Mm.
someone else's. Because if someone else is gonna come to you and say, you suck, like you're never gonna do it, your work's like shit, you're never gonna be a successful artist, or this picture sucks, your next gonna be even worse, and that's setting like a pretty low bar for you, and anything
Yes.
you
It is.
do, it's just obviously gonna surpass that bar. But if you
Yeah.
just like like adhere to like, oh, my picture has like 10,000 likes, otherwise I failed, then you might be missing the point. Like it's not about satisfying everyone else around you, unless you work for a client. It's like kind of a different story, because like obviously you're doing a task and you have a very specific goal. That's a little different. But when you work on the work that you do for yourself, you kind of want to set up your own bar, and if you don't reach it and you fail, that's a lesson for you, and you just
Yeah.
digest, all right, why I didn't reach the bar that I've set up for myself, and what I have to do in order to surpass it, and be better at that one specific thing. Yeah, social media, it's like it can be really cancerous, man.
Yes, it
um,
is.
you shouldn't
We
read the
talk about
comments
this.
for sure.
We talk about the phenomenon about social media, and I come with this terminology called the internet artist. So basically, this internet artist is someone you found online that he's capable of doing everything under the sun, from concept design, mechanical designs, illustration, hot chicks, pin-up, cute cartoony shit, everything. So, and every day you visit this internet artist and you look at the stuff that he can do, and you feel extremely demoralized by it instead of being motivated. So you basically follow people instead of motivating yourself, you're killing your passions. And this
Hmm.
internet artist consists of that 1,000 artists that you follow into one. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And when you follow someone, I think your motivation should be like, crap, like he's really good. I want to do something that's better than that. What should I do in order for that to happen?
Yeah.
If
Mm.
you have that mindset, that's good, because here's
Mm.
here's also one thing that a lot of people don't realize is when you're on social media, a lot of things that people say are not really genuine, and
Yeah.
we you've heard stories about models exposing like, I fucking hate my life, but on
Yep.
every picture I'm happy. Hey, that selfie that looks like I made it in my bathroom, it's actually 20 pictures or 50 pictures that I did in a course of hours, starving myself in order to look perfect. It's just like, it's just that one snapshot of your life that makes it perfect, and then everyone else comes in and is like, oh shit, he has a perfect life, she has a perfect life, I'm jealous, blah blah blah. It's a normal thing to be jealous. I mean, that's sort of like a normal characteristic of us humans. We are jealous. Some of us are more jealous than others. I think even like some scientists said that if you follow social media too much, it's much more likely you're gonna be depressed because of the awesomeness that is
Yeah.
surrounding you, and everyone I know, like a lot of my close friends and a lot of people that I know that share the glimpse of what they do and the glimpse of their life on social media. It's not that perfect, man. They do have problems too. They do
Of
have
course.
situations in their lives where it's just like, oh dude, that fucking sucks, I don't want to be in your shoes now. Happens a lot, and yeah, it's an interesting phenomenon, man. Yeah, you have to take everything with a grain of salt. I my rule is um, I never share my personal life in social media for obvious reasons. Like you don't want to expose too much of it because when it becomes public, you can quickly become a target, especially now. Like in this era where everyone is outraged about everything. You say
Mm-hmm.
something that you might not, you're. I just said it because like I don't know, that was a brain fart, and people just gonna jump on your throat and just want to kill you, almost. I know artists that had death threats because
Of course, yeah.
conspiracy theory. It's just like, oh, man. So my rule is like I don't share that stuff. I only share what I'm excited about, and that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do try to be genuinely talking about, uh, when I talk with you, and we actually talk pretty genuinely about some topics. Like, hey, this is what
Yes.
social media is. This is what education is. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the
Yes, I
things.
am.
That's the avenues I try to pursue when I talk about
I
that.
mean,
So
as far as it comes to art, I really try to stay as genuine as possible. I don't want to paint too much a rosy picture to people, and which is not true. I mean, there was one year I went to San Diego Comic Con, and one a, a mother and a son dropped by, and the son asked me, "Hey, can I show you some of my like speed painting or some of my cool art?"
I see
And I
where
said,
this is
"Okay."
going.
I said, "Yeah, sure. Just show it to me." And then he opened up his sketchbook and showed me a landscape painting, as he called it, of something that looked like this. Let me draw it out here on the screen. Okay, so basically, it looks like there's it's a tree. There's some mountain there, and I put a river around there, and there's some cloud in the background. He drew exactly something like that honestly. And then, what do you think? Is I did pretty quickly, So and to most people, I would say that most people, to avoid any form of conflict, they'll say, that's not too bad. Keep it up. Keep it going.
Yeah, keep it
Thanks, bye.
up. Keep it up,
Yeah,
little boy.
yeah, work harder.
Work harder.
But yeah, but I told him that by asking him that, how old are you? He said he's 25. I say, if you're 25, you're still painting this, you have no clue what you are doing. You need to go back to fundamental, really learn from the ground up exactly how things work in real life, because that's not how a mountain look like. That's not how a tree look like if you want to paint something realistic. And then he was so shocked. And the mom was so shocked. They didn't expect that I was dishonest about him. And he walked away with a bit of bitter on his face. And
Well,
the
he's
rest of
25, man. He's a
yeah,
grown up
and
man.
and the rest of the customers at my table, they clap.
Well, I
This
could
is
imagine like it would be rude maybe if it was like 5 year old or something.
yeah, it's of course, yes.
But 25, okay, yeah, dude, you gotta get back to the drawing board.
Yes.
It's so funny. That's so funny. All right, dude, are you ready for some questions?
Yeah, I'm always ready for any question.
Dude, let's do this.
All
Andrew.
right, we got like 20 billion questions here.
I'm sorry. Yes, I understand.
All right, so the first one is from Barrett, and he asks, "Do you have any tips on doing commissions and monetizing your art as a student?"
As a student, you see, I do a lot of commissions for people, personal collectors, independent collectors, and the reason why they would like to commission me, I think, is because of certain foothold in the comic industry. I've done comic book covers, statues, and comic related projects that people really love, and that eventually become someone would like to collect a piece of my original art. I think that's how it first got started. And honestly speaking, I don't really, firstly, don't consider yourself a student. I don't like to call student. You guys are just junior artists. So sometimes calling yourself student make you feel lesser than who you are. So I feel that in order to make money off anything of your art, whether it's a commission or digital commissions, you need to have an audience. You need to have people looking at your stuff first before someone can commission you, right? So the question is not just about commissioning someone, how to get the commission. It's about does your art reach the audience that you want? Which also means that do you actually spend time, invest your time in building up your fan followings so that people know where you are, who you are, what do you do, and eventually able to pay you for your art. That's what I would say.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Mm.
There was a lot of questions about anatomy and
Uh-huh.
basically like what you're like whether you studied it when you were training or if you did, what are your practices and
Hmm.
where would you suggest people learn it?
Okay. You see, I came from the era with the internet. So there wasn't any kind of online resources back then for me to learn anatomy. So I relied on most of the so-called master in anatomy books like Andrew Loomis, that I learned from
I
those
remember
people.
that. I do
Andrew
remember that.
Loomis.
Andrew
Yeah,
Loomis.
just it's not that I have a choice. It's just that's the only
It
books
was the
I
only
can
one.
find. Yeah. And nowadays, I personally prefer Glenn Vilppu's anatomy methods. If you don't, it's Glenn, GLENNVILPPU. It's a Glenn Vilppu. He's a pretty old guy, but he's a really great master in anatomy, and I believe that his method is extremely effective of understanding forms. And in general, learning anatomy is always from the inside out. So you understand the bone structure, understand the muscle mapping on the bones, then understand the skin that wrap onto the muscles. So you need to study from inside out, which is extremely dry, extremely boring, I can tell you that. Um, but it pays off really well if you invest in your earlier days of your career or of your life as artist to studying those things. So um, a few things we talk about. First, understand the theory of how anatomy works in reality. So you study bones and muscles, and then you look around, observe people, look at how the anatomy look like for different body type, and then with that you apply your theory into those. So it's a theory, observation, and then you apply it into your work. It's called applications. So with that you do it, then you will start to understand more. Mm. Don't get into the fear of, oh, I want to be as good as you so that I can draw with anatomy without references. To me, that's not the goal.
Yeah,
Mm.
Because
agree.
every artist in this world, in the history of mankind, use reference.
We do.
Mm.
All of them. Even Leonardo da Vinci. He observed the
Everybody.
world, especially him. He observed the world in order to do the stuff he does. He would not be able to
Exactly.
paint the way he painted if he wasn't doing that. Yeah, references are
Exactly.
important.
So, but there's two kind of reference we're talking about. One is a visual reference, which is something that we see, and the other is a memory reference that you reference from a memory. Of course, if you see something often enough, eventually it will store into your mind and it become part of your mental library. So that's cool. But before you have that, you have to see something first. So don't be afraid to look at reference from photos, videos, observe how they work. In fact, I always suggest my students or my apprentice that it's good to learn anatomy looking at videos. For example, look at dancing videos, action videos, catwalk videos, and look at how people pose in action. To me, that's important because when you talk about poses and action and anatomy, you always need to understand how to set up that pose from which point and arrive at which point. So that's the beginning and the ending. And you need to understand the entire sequence. And then you, as an illustrator, you pick one particular frame to represent that particular pose. So you need to understand the entire sequence, the structure. Yeah. Mm.
or just, just be born as Kim Jong Gi and then.
He's don't talk about him. Okay, he's not even human. So don't talk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
someone mentioned his name. Or as Forrest Lamb said, you should go to med school. Yeah, that's an option too. You're gonna memorize all the bones and shit,
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
and waste
I
like
guess
6 years of your life to become a doctor instead of artist.
I guess it's learning human forms is never ending. I think until the end of the last day of your life, you are still learning that. So I guess you don't have to be exactly a master in order to do a
Yeah,
good piece of art. You just need to have some basic knowledge to get yourself going, and yeah,
Right
and
on.
invest time. So I always suggest that Because learning anatomy or all the fundamentals are so boring, you need to do both things. You need to
Yeah,
learn, you need to continue to draw what you love to draw. Whether you like to draw hentai, yaoi shit, anything that inspire you to draw, you draw. At the same time, alongside with that, you learn your fundamentals. So you take care of your passion and your technique at the same time. Yeah.
agreed, 100%.
Cool. Speaking of getting started, a lot of people are asking how do you like grow an audience and how do you gain traction on social media? And I know that you guys had a long discussion about social media in general, but just even if it's not necessarily through social media channels, how do you suggest building an audience for your work?
First, you need to understand that every artist need audience, just like singers, celebrities, all of us need audience. And before you create audience, you need to make good product to sell. That to me, that's extremely important. So your product is your artwork, and you need to make sure that the artwork is translatable, uh, can be appreciated as to your target audience. If you are hitting the general public, your artwork should be translatable or if so-called relatable to the general public, and then um, have something that's so strong that people would love to share. Means like either the quality of it, the concept of it, that's so strong, people love to share it, and that is the first step of you start building your fan base. You see, building a fan base is a long process. It's not about going to someone else artist site like my site and then spam your artwork on my page. And that is not really the way to do it. The way to do it is to really make sure that you have something that's relatable, shareable. People love you so much they want to share. Whether it's a positive message, whether it's something humorous or something that is so funky, so wacky that people just love to share. Just love to
Hmm.
hit the share button. So that is something you really have to learn. And we all build the audience or fan base one at a time. Mm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it
Yeah.
starts
So
slow.
don't focus on the number. Focus on the quality of your product first. Yeah.
I
Mm.
agree, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
do stuff you like to do in the first, like,
Yeah.
just what excites you, do that. Don't do something that, oh, I'm gonna do something that's gonna be viral. That's not how it works.
Yes. To me, you need to understand that when you build your fan base, the first fan you always need to be is yourself. So you need to be a fan of your artworks. Many artists, when they start having a bigger fan base, they start to lose track of who they are. They start to deviate, start to conform to what the audience like, what the audience want you to do. And they start to change the process or the preference. To me, honestly speaking, you need to understand that the first fan that you gather, the first 10 fans that you gather, the reason why they become your fan is because you were doing exactly what you love to do, regardless of their opinion. That's why they love your art. So
Mm-hmm.
why would you change when you have bigger audience that you start to conform to their preference instead of your personal preference? I don't think you should do that. I think all artists should still stick with what they truly believe. I know some paths are harder to take, some paths are easier, but if you truly believe and happy and enjoy what you produce, you should continue to stick with that.
Mhm.
Of course, having said that, that doesn't mean that you should be stubborn with your approach or your preference. You should also allow yourself to expose yourself to different kind of art forms or different kind of subject matters. Eventually, you may find joy in doing those things. Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Speaking of like doing what you enjoy, do you have any art goals for 2017?
Honestly, my art goal doesn't really work because goal always change. I always set some goals. Eventually, it doesn't happen. It happens more than I wanted it to be. Um, but for 2017, I really want to start making my own comic book.
Mm, cool.
That's cool.
especially especially Pepper. Pepper is a character that I created. I want to make a comic book out of Pepper because it's about time. Yeah,
Yeah, people were asking about Pepper too, like what they were gonna see next. So that's
yeah,
Do
cool.
the
yeah.
pepper. Pepper.
So what was your process or experience trying to get your own style?
Yeah. You see, every style is a formula. Before you understand the idea of style, you need to understand the origin of style. So if I ask you what's the origin of style is reality. It's no style. It's very Bruce Lee kind of thinking. So the beginning of all style is no style. So yeah, that's what I say. so so in order to understand the develop your style, you need to first handle your fundamentals, which means no style, because every style evolved from reality and realism. So, and every style is a formula to exaggerate reality. For example, when you talk about anime, oh, firstly, you have to enlarge your eyes by 400%, and then reduce the size of the nose by 400%, and reduce the mouth by 200%, and then add 10 specular reflection onto each of your iris in order to make it pop. So it's a formula that create that style, and you need to understand the underneath formula. But you can't actually go into the formula if your fundamental is weak. And many times, artists, they will come to me and say, "Oh, Artgerm, I'm stuck with my own style. I can't move away from my style." There be situation like that, and usually the reason is that you begin your journey of art with someone else's style. Can you imagine if you really draw, if you learn anatomy, looking at Dragon Ball? If you learn anatomy of muscles by looking at Dragon Ball comics, how are you going to draw some? How are you going to move away from that? Because that was your beginning point. So the idea of developing the style is to firstly go back to fundamentals, understand how things work in reality, and then start looking around and find style that appeal to you and learn to draw like them. I'm talking about mimicking someone else's style to begin with. It's just like cooking. When you cook, when you want to cook a dish, what's the first step you do, guys?
Read the recipe.
Exactly. Does the recipe belong to you? No, somebody else. So you look at the recipe and then you try to follow exactly what they say.
Mm-hmm.
And then you follow that. And then you taste the food. It's too salty. It's not spicy enough. I need to add more chili, reduce some salt. And that you modify the recipe to your liking. And then you move on to the next person's recipe. Oh, how about I try this person's recipe for the same dish? Maybe it will taste better. And then you try that, and then, oh, maybe this, I like recipe A for certain things, I like recipe B for the other things. And then I put them together to make my own recipe. That's how you discover your style.
Mm-hmm. That's great. All right, let's get another one. Do you
My
have
recipe is I cook with credit card.
get that
Okay.
delivery? Do you have any advice on what to include in your portfolio when you're starting out?
Yeah. Um, Always position or always arrange a portfolio according to personal preference to what kind of position you want to apply for. I mean, for job. For example, you want to be a concept artist, you want to specialize in characters. Your first few pages of your portfolio should showcase that part of you, and
Mm-hmm.
which is very important because that's how people form their first impression of you and your artworks. So you make sure that your first three piece of work impress them and define who you are, who you want to be, and what composition you want to apply for. That's important. And then later on, you can put about 10 to 20 more pieces of work in your portfolio that showcase the diversity, your 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 range of style or approach to your art.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. And then always bring along your sketchbook if you have one. Always bring along because people like us as employers, we love to see sketchbooks.
Mm-hmm.
I love to see your process, your thinking process, how you come up with ideas, and yeah.
Yeah, I feel
Do
like
the
that's a
artist on a spot.
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like that's a common thread between when people ask that question about like, what do I put in my portfolio? It's always like, do what you want to do, like put what you want to get a job for in your portfolio.
Yeah,
Like,
so you need to really customize your portfolio according to the client that you want to apply the job for. If you
yeah.
want to work with Blizzard, show some Blizzard shit, show some
Mm-hmm.
fantasy stuff, show them what you can do. In fact, I will advise you to even mix up some awesome fan art of Warcraft you want to get into Blizzard because that's how you impress people. You want to first you need to be a fan of the person you meet, the company that you want to get a job from. Be a fan and then let them know how much you love what they do and then what you can offer to them that make a difference to what they are doing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree
Sweet.
more.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
Here's an interesting one. How important is mastering 2D drawing with VR just around the corner?
VR. Okay, I honestly have very little knowledge about VR, although I play with it a lot. But I always feel that VR is just like hardware. Of course, the process of making a VR idea can be slightly different from other development. But I would say that at the end of the day, before you make any VR or any kind of games, you have to go back to the drawing board into conceptualizing stage, and that requires your 2D skill, isn't it? So I think that the 2D is still applicable. I would say very much relevant to a VR development. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, VR is, I mean, it's here already. Some of the projects that you might be hired for, it's still a niche, I would say. There are some projects that will hire you to work on some VR projects, but majority it's still like a regular sort of thing. I would say 3D is becoming more and more important
Yes,
especially
it
in
is.
entertainment. It's just such a useful tool, even like for what you do, Stanley, right? I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know if you use 3D at all or not. I don't even know if you
Yeah, I
need
do.
it. You're in a different industry. Yeah, well, there you go. You do.
Yeah.
It's just it's a tool. It makes things easier. And if you can make things easier and faster, that's going to be a big asset, especially when you work commercial work, you know? So
Hmm.
yeah, I wouldn't worry
Yeah.
about VR just yet. You know, think of it as a tool. Obviously, when you jump in with your headset and start doing a tilt brush, you're tripping out because it's such a fucking different experience.
Yes.
But like with any tool, you know, when you learn art, you learn foundation, you learn about anatomy, you learn about perspective, you learn about color and lighting, and those things are cross.
Will
I would say
change.
they're
Yeah.
cross-platform.
Yeah.
Well, once you
Yeah.
know foundation, you can use it in 2D and you can use it in 3D. A lot of
Hmm.
good concept artists, it's not really hard for them to become a good 3D artist either. It's just tools. So
Yeah. It is. Agree.
Right on. Um,
Next. Mm.
what is your favorite and least favorite project that you've worked on, and why?
That my least favorite project are those projects that have many changes. Yeah. Many revisions. I hate those projects.
Mm.
I will not name. Um, I think it's I would say the most rewarding projects that I work on are those like Capcom stuff, Street
Mm.
Fighter. Um, when I got contracted by Capcom to create the artworks for Street Fighter games, in-game artworks, I was really happy because I grew up with Street Fighter. I
Hmm.
grew up skipping classes, skipping school just to play Street Fighter at the arcade.
we all
And
did.
yeah,
Apart from
it's so
Andrew,
awesome.
he grew up sneaking out to eat some Chipotle
Playing
and
Street Fighter
and take
5.
photos and take photos of trash.
Yeah, so that become a very fun project. Or eventually, seeing my artwork on the screen when I load up the game. So I think that was really rewarding. Um, Personally, I don't like to work on advertising projects because they are really hard to work with, especially you work with really bad art director
Hmm.
who don't know what they want but know what he doesn't want when he sees it, and that is extremely frustrating. So you have to keep going round and round making changes at this until he see what he like. So that's
Yeah,
awful. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
and
Um,
everything is for yesterday.
all right. So,
So maybe get
how do you?
two more questions, and we should be wrapping it up very soon.
All right. A pretty good one from Daniel just came in. It says, "Do you think money is a good reason to put your passion on hold, or do you have any solutions to not do that? If not."
Hmm. Okay, first you need to understand that we are commercial artists. Commercial artists need to make money with your art. That's the reality. But I always see money as a form of reward of my hard work, not as an objective of my hard work.
Mm.
Yeah.
You need to understand the difference that if you focus on work that make money, your artwork that make money, your work will sting like money. Hmm. And people can tell you start to sell. But if you stay true to what you like to do, what you believe, and strong and really put in passion in what you are doing, and you earn money with that, to me that's awesome. Hmm.
Mm.
Of course, I'm not you. I cannot speak on your behalf, but that's how I live my life. Honestly speaking, if my artwork only make $100 a month, I will still be drawing. If
Mm.
I would make $1 million a month, I will still be drawing the same shit because I really don't care. Because the idea of me earning money has only one reason. First is, one reason is to keep my family going so that I can buy myself time and freedom to draw what I like.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's the only reason I want the money. That's all. So I yeah.
If you need to
Mm,
work,
Yeah.
you obviously work because you have to pay the bills and keep the lights
exactly.
up. But don't don't get don't jump into art just to make money. There's
Yeah.
there are so many better options out there to make a lot of
Exactly.
money. You're not gonna be a rich guy working in this.
Yeah.
You do it because you love it. I mean,
Yeah.
you can live pretty comfortable life if you're if you're a really good artist. If you put a lot of effort into it, and if the circumstances are right, because like you might be born in the wrong side of of this planet, and those things might never work out for you.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, if you have an opportunity and you grab it by the balls and squeeze it and pull it and then work really hard, uh, the chances are you're gonna get by. But just don't think that this is for the money. Like that, it's a byproduct of the work you do, basically.
Yeah.
Mm. So I guess we could wrap it up with a question that was kind of asked in one way or another a lot about when you started to draw, what did you do when you would get frustrated and you can't go on with your drawings? I've been blocked for a long time and I don't know what to do.
Art block, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a very common question that people ask. I don't have art block. Never. So um because I'm not the kind of artist who start thinking about what to draw when I open up Photoshop or open up my sketchbook. I collect ideas on a regular basis, either in my mind, nowadays most of the time in my mind, and when I can't draw, when I don't have time to draw, I collect ideas, and I collect on a regular basis, so that whenever I have chance to sit in front of my computer, open up my sketchbook, I have tons of ideas I want to actualize. So that's what I do. That's
Mm-hmm.
to prevent art block. But for those of you who actually have the art block, um, I would say that yeah, can chill a little bit with your friends, not too much. Don't start playing
Just a little bit.
games. I mean, you can play a little bit of games. Street Fighter is fine, a few rounds of that, but do not play a long game. Oh, I'm going to finish Witcher or whatever. So, um, quickly get back on track and start drawing something that is so simple, so mindless that you don't even need to think about. Something that you are so comfortable of drawing, so easy to draw, and start drawing those things again and start picking up your momentum. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Agree 100%. All right,
Mm.
dude. Wow, time is flying. I do those not. I try to like have those streams for about an hour. In most cases, we
Okay.
usually go over time.
Yeah, I don't
uh,
mind. I have tons of time if you like to talk.
cool. Yeah, one of the reasons is just fatigue. Like we don't want to get our guests, fatigued and whatnot. Also, it's just time
Understand.
constraints. But dude, time flew. It was just awesome to talk with you. I've been a big fan of your work, and
Thank you.
obviously it's fun
Likewise.
to have you here, dude. You did a lot. Again, that looks pretty cool, man. I like
Yeah,
it.
this is sick.
This is sick.
You got to
That's
send
my-
that to us so we can post it on the
Yeah,
Art
that's
Cafe
that's my little
page.
baby there. It's
Yeah.
the third
What's her-
love of my
what's her
life.
name?
Oh, I'm not gonna tell
After
you.
me.
Fuck off. I'm not
Okay.
gonna tell you. I'll tell you later.
Okay.
I'll tell
Okay.
you. I'll tell you after the stream. I don't want people to know.
Okay. All right. All right. All right.
Super
But
sick.
yeah, dude, it was fun. We should do it again if you have time, obviously.
I always
um,
have time.
Oh, perfect. Let's do it every day. I'm joking.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know. Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's wrap it up, guys. Thanks, dude. Thanks for being here. Thanks for spending time with us, Andrew. Thanks for being for the first time you're being useful in a long time. And for everyone who decided to join us live, obviously, thank you. Those who are watching it later, thanks for watching it all as well. Unless you scrub through the whole thing and then just like, I'm gonna listen to what they were talking towards the end, then fuck you. And yeah, if you like, dude, if you guys like it, just subscribe. If you don't like it, just get the hell out. But we're gonna do some more tomorrow. We have Kangley. He's gonna join us for some cool conversation too. And yeah, let's wrap it here. I hope the audio was pretty good. I actually run into some technical issues right before the stream. where OBS just decided, fuck off, you're not gonna stream today. I was like, fuck, I need to figure out an options. So I'm streaming for the first time with the Wirecast, for which I wanted to switch anyways. So I hope it worked out pretty well. Adding webcams for the first time, like in a rush, because I just didn't know if it's gonna work before we started streaming. And also, I know a lot of you guys have mentioned that it would be nice to level out audio. I didn't have enough time to look into settings, Wirecast settings, to make sure that it's all working really well. But I'll keep an eye on that with the future streams. So please be patient. I'm trying to improve. Cool. Let's wrap it up, guys. And yeah, thanks for joining. And till the next one. Peace.
Yes.
Yay.
Bye bye.
Bye.